Hi, this is Shereen Sun, and welcome back to the Spiritual Badass Revolution. I'm stoked to have Bex Burton here today. Hi, Bex. How are you?
Hey, Shereen. Great. Hello, audience. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, so Bex is amazing. I'm really excited to get to talk to her today. She's a certified dream builder and love coach who helps you design and manifest a life and love that you truly adore. Since a young age, Bex has manifested dream upon dream in her own life, including in her marketing career in Broadway theatrics, a movement and wellness company in New York City, a thriving coaching practice, and most impressively, her own true love story that she wrote and brought to life through hula hoop performance art. I love it. I have a soft spot for the hula hoop. Awesome. So, Bex, I want to talk about manifesting dreams because obviously you know what you're talking about when it comes to setting your mind to something and making it a reality, which is perfect for this audience. So, manifesting is not, and you use manifesting in your love coaching practice as well. So you help people manifest love. And I want to know about some of the challenging parts of the manifestation process. So manifesting isn't always easy and beautiful and graceful. Tell us about your experiences in manifesting dreams.
Sure, absolutely. Well, one of the things that I think is very important to remember in manifesting anything into your life, whether that be an extraordinary relationship or a lasting, sustainable, scalable business, is that everything that we have come to know in our physical reality is created twice. From the computer that we're talking through, or the chair that we're sitting on, or I don't know, the headphones that I have on my head. Everything is begun in somebody's imagination first. And from that vision, it has then been brought to life into reality. So whatever you're envisioning, whatever you're dreaming of creating in your business and bringing into this world, that envisioning, that imagination process is so vital. It's so crucial to the manifestation process. Now, of course, you're asking me about like the pain points of like what are some of the more difficult aspects of manifestation. Well, certainly, how do we get from that place of imagination to actually being in the reality of that which we've been dreaming up, the reality of our desires. And so we can't just live in our imagination alone. So I believe, I come to understand, and I teach, and what I've learned from others is that manifestation is the combination of that imagination process as well as committed action. So we're not just living in the imagination space, but we're also taking step-by-step committed action every single day in the direction of realizing our dreams, realizing our desires. Now, it all sounds wonderful. It sounds like a linear path, but the truth is that anything that we desire, that is a big, beautiful, wild dream, that is, that is worthy of our time and our energy in manifesting is not going to be a linear path. It's just not going to be a straight shot. And I think that there are a lot of us out there that are, they feel like it should be a smooth ride. It should be no obstacles. And as soon as we hit an obstacle, as soon as we hit a challenge, there's that feeling of like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. Mm-hmm. And we like turn around and we go and start envisioning and imagine something else. So one of the things that I think is one of the vulnerable and the pain points of manifestation is that moment where we hit a speed bump, where we hit a challenge. And I think that so many of us, like I said, we instantly go to that place of, well, it wasn't meant to be, mm-hmm. instead of kind of zooming the lens out and really sitting with the gravity of this vision. So for many of the people that are in your audience, we're talking about envisioning a business. Maybe you're already on that path, and maybe you've put time into it already, and you're somewhere along that path. But if you think about the gravity, if you think about the full scale of the vision that's in your heart, like the challenge that is on your path, couldn't it be considered, isn't it possible that this is that this is not pulling you off your path and maybe, and directing you into it's not meant to be, but this challenge is the very thing that you need to overcome to get you to the next level of fulfilling that full vision of your desire. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, like I see life as a video game. Like I really never played video games very like, except maybe when I was a kid and it was like Mrs. Pac-Man. But just to use that video game as an analogy of, you know, it can be looked at as fun, and it can be looked at like every challenge that we face brings you to a new level, brings you to a new audience, or a new capability, or a new understanding of yourself. You know, and that's really one of the biggest things that I would love for the people in your audience to really take away, is that every challenge that you face on your path it's a deepening of your experience on that path, not pulling you off. It's not that this vision isn't meant to be, but this is getting you even more aligned with your vision, more capable of fulfilling the fullest extent of that vision. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love that idea. And I want to invite everyone who's watching to really hear that whatever challenges you might be going through is actually, instead of seeing it as, I think that happens a lot, feeling discouraged whenever an obstacle comes up, that it's not meant to be, that it's not divinely aligned, especially in this audience. If anything comes up, then it might feel like, oh, this might be a sign that I'm not supposed to be here, be doing this. But
Mm-hmm.
instead we can reframe it as though we're being tested, or this is a deepening of our ability to hold more, which is
Mm-hmm.
what we're calling in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe in signs like mega mega. Like I really absolutely do. And I find that, you know, the thing is that like if we were to say, oh, well, here's a sign that I'm not meant to pursue this huge vision that's been on my heart for the last 5 years, the last 10 years, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is that, and as soon as we go off in this other direction of like, okay, maybe that's a sign, does that dream, does that desire go away? Or does that, you know, one of the things that you had asked me before to prepare for this was a quote that you know, just resonates, and I have this quote that I've been carrying around with me for the last 20 years. This was
Mm.
literally my high school yearbook quote, and it's, little ideas that tickle and nag should never be ignored, for in them lie the seeds of destiny.
Mm.
And I got that from like a kid's movie. I got that from the movie Babe the Gallant Pig when I was like a teenager, because it just resonated so deeply with me. And you know, and kind of going back to this idea of the vision, that big dream that you have in your heart, it's, I don't think that we come up with these willy-nilly. You know, it's not something that we're sitting at home at night thinking like, well, what can I possibly dream about? I mean, these are the divine inspirations that I believe are gifted to us by the higher power, and they're put in our heart for a reason. And for us to just up and quit when we hit that first challenge, or the second challenge, or even the 35th challenge, you know, and to, you know, and it's not that our dream can't like shift and morph, but for us to abandon it in the face of challenge or obstacle, I think is you know, us misinterpreting the sign. You know,
Mm.
because when we, and from my own experience and the experience of my clients, what I know is that when we say, okay, I accept that there are at least three solutions to any challenge on my path, and we start going into problem solving, therein lies an open door to an even like more beautiful, more precious sign that is just beyond our imagination, that
Mm.
reminds us that yes, this is the path that I meant to be on, and thank God I stuck through that
Mm.
challenge, because look at what I have now, or look what I've been able to create, manifest now.
I love it. So you said, and I just want to make sure we have this clear, everything's created twice, because first it's in our imagination, and then the second part of manifesting is in committed action and sticking on the path, staying on the path even when things get hard, and that's how you manifest.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I love
definitely.
it. I love it. Everything's created twice. Beautiful. So I want to know for you, um, I want to know what this has actually looked like in your business. You mentioned earlier that you hit a wall in your business at some point. How does this principle apply to your own process of growing your business?
Sure, absolutely. So I mean, I have hit several walls in my business. I have a love coaching business where I teach single women to attract the love of their life, to clear the runway for their beloved to land.
Hmm.
And it's, you know, just like any journey, like it is wrought with twists and turns and ups and downs, and a lot of, reflection on, well, what's wrong with me, or what am I doing wrong, or do I matter, or am I lovable, and all of our stuff comes up. And the same is true when we're building a business, especially if we're building a service-based business where we are offering our services to others. It can be very vulnerable. It can be very tender and real, because we're offering, lessons from the depths of our heart and the depths of our own experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's and I personally have absolutely hit walls on my journey of building clientele and building a following and building I like to call it an empire, my Mexican empire.
I love it.
And one of them has been in believing in myself, believing that, like, what I have to offer matters. Believing that, I mean, there's so much. The other things that have come up for me are, God, it's such a self-awareness learning journey. And for me, other things that have come up have been the being on a learning curve. Okay, so let's just talk about that for a minute. I don't know about you, but I have historic perfectionist tendencies. I have tendencies to be type A and going full out. And for a very long time, and this is something that I've realized in the entrepreneurial process, is that I have attached a lot of my personal worth with my results. So what that means is that when I'm on a learning curve, and when I'm doing something new, when I'm learning a new strategy, or when I'm learning a new conversation to enroll people in my services, or when I'm just embarking on any new endeavor, our results are slow to grow. I mean, sure, like we can be on a fast pace or a fast tip when we hire teachers and coaches to really accelerate us. Sure, absolutely. At the same time, we're still learning something new, regardless of how great our mentors are. So being on that learning curve, results can still be slow, regardless of, if you're not working with a mentor, they're going to be very slow. But so being on that learning curve and having slow results and really starting to take things personally, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this? I totally understand this intellectually.
Right.
And then that having an even deeper, just manifesting more delayed results, because I'm questioning my own worth. I'm questioning my own value. I'm questioning, like, what I'm, so you can see how this is a vicious cycle. Right?
Absolutely. And it's a vicious cycle that's happening on an energetic level. Like, you can say you're doing one thing, but if you're not working on the thoughts that you're having about yourself, about whether this is possible, you're going to be manifesting more of that, whether you want to consciously or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in love, how it translates is like, well, I'm doing everything right. Like, where's my man already? Like, what the F? Like, where is he already? And just that frustration, that desperation, it shows up in business too. Like, I'm doing all the things. I've hired the coach. I'm invested. I'm taking all the steps. I'm, what's wrong? What's happening? What am I doing wrong?
Right.
And all of that self-criticism and all of that doubt puts even more distance between where we are now and where we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm curious, we've been having these conversations in the summit talks, and I wonder how it translates to love in that moment where you are feeling really doubtful, and what you need is to change your belief about yourself, your value around your work. But you don't have any kind of evidence of success, or, it's like, which came first, the confidence, the chicken or the egg? How do we muster that confidence, muster that belief in ourselves in those moments where we are feeling possibly rejected or shame or self-doubt? How do we make that shift in a way that's going to really make an impact on what we're manifesting?
Totally. There's a few things that I can recommend to your audience, and this is primarily for business, but this can also translate into love. Excuse me. The first thing is to look back at your history and look back at your previous successes. And you know, even if that's in a different industry or a different area, or even if we're speaking about love, even if that particular relationship didn't happen to go so well, or even if it ended disastrously, you can think about the success of attracting that person. You can think about the success that you had in another expertise or another industry. You can think about where you have felt successful, where you felt proud of the work that you've done, where you felt accomplished. So that leads me to the second point, is to shift your definition of success. I think a lot of times, and in my case, especially like several years ago, this is historic, but there was a specific definition of success that I was framing my experience around. And that was very these specific results. Now, that's not to say that you can't feel successful when you achieve results, but I think again it's shifting the definition of what your results are, shifting your definition of success. So in business, you know, business and love, really, for me, it's all about celebrating the micro wins, the baby steps, because if you historically have struggled with consistency, maybe you're working a full-time job and you're building your side hustle, you're building your passion job on the side, and it has been a struggle for you to fit 5 hours of side hustle in a week. If you hit that 5-hour mark, if that's your goal and you hit that goal in 1 week, you celebrate that. Just the simple sheer fact of showing up and hitting your goal time. Maybe you're full-time now and you are, you know, but you're scaling, you want more clients and you want, you know, and so perhaps historically it's been difficult for you to make phone calls and actually speak with people. You've been hiding behind emails and webinars or whatever, and you made a commitment to make 3 phone calls in 1 day, and you picked up the phone and you did those 3 phone calls. Whether or not those people enrolled in your services or were full body yet, like you get to kind of unattach yourself from that result and really celebrate and savor in the success that you achieved, which was, I made 3 phone calls today, which is better than I did yesterday. You know, so it's you know, shifting your definition of success, shifting your definition of results, and celebrating the micro wins. And then one more point on how do we kind of get to that place of getting out of self-criticism. I really believe that there's so much power in numbers. I will always come back around to this belief that we can't do our greatest work alone. And when we're trying to shift our energy and shift our self-critic out and our self-cheerleader back in, it's very, very difficult to do that in isolation. Mm-hmm. And when we have a coach, a mentor, a guide, a community, you know, Shereen leading the way and like on the phone with you every other week or whatever, mm-hmm. you know, just bringing your mindset back and being that strong cheerleader in your corner, or a community where you can reach out and connect with other people who are on the same journey. Like there's so much power in numbers, and for me, that's one of the learning curves that I've been on, is not being a lone wolf in my experience, because, you know, I myself am part of a business community, and it's silly for me to not reach out and connect with the other people who are on the same exact journey. It doesn't even matter where on the journey they are, because if they're further ahead, they've walked the path that I've walked. And you know, and connecting with others who are doing similar things is such a powerful tool in your pocket. So don't think you have to do it alone.
I love it. Yes, there's so much juiciness in that answer. I completely agree with you that having a mentor really helped things move so much more quickly for me, to have someone who's walked the path already, who can help me illuminate some of the roadblocks that I'm going to come up against and show me that it's everything, you know, just like you say, there's so much growth that happens in having a business. Everyone makes mistakes and has challenges and hits walls, just like you have, just like I have. But to have a community there to cheer you on really makes so much of a difference, because it all comes back to what we're believing in ourselves, and others reflect that back to us. So when we're in community, we see, you know, one person's success, and we all rise together. So I love that you brought that up. The other thing I'm hearing in what you said is that we can achieve huge results and manifestations through actually little daily actions. So breaking things down into smaller steps and not being so focused on the results in a traditional sense. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that on a manifestation level, the way that that really operates is keeping your energy in high vibration and celebration and fun and juiciness. Because, you know, if you look at just your goal, and this is kind of the difference between being process oriented and goal oriented. So goal oriented is, all right, I have a goal of making $10,000 a month consistently for 12 months beginning now. Okay. And so that's your goal, which is fabulous, and everybody needs goals. However, every single day that we look at our goal and we realize, I'm not hitting my goal, I'm not hitting my goal, I'm not hitting my goal, you're setting yourself up for failure every single day until you hit that goal.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And like, nobody likes to be in failure like constantly, because, you know, who knows how long it's going to take you to actually achieve that goal. So being process oriented is going to be kind of like what I was talking about in shifting your definition of success and results, and celebrating the micro wins, celebrating the baby steps, celebrating, and that includes celebrating the failures, celebrating the falls, the stumbles, the tumbles, because honestly, and I'll give you an example from my life. Like, I had a phone call last week. I'm in an enrollment process where I'm bringing new women to join me in a committed relationship with my Radiate and Attract Love group that I'm gathering right now. So women walk a path with me for 12 months, clearing the runway for their beloved man to enter. And so I'm on the phone, I'm on the phone with like maybe 20, 30 women a week. And, most of these calls are really wonderful and connected and heartfelt, and we're having breakthroughs, and I'm celebrating every single call that comes in, honestly, because whether this woman is meant to work with me right now or in the future or ever at all, like, the fact that we've connected in this moment is beautiful. It's perfect. It's divine. And then I get a really disconnected call. Like, I get a call where my energy is off, or maybe I'm triggered, like, hey, I'm human, it happens. Or like the other woman, like, I'm being lovingly direct and honest, and it triggers the other woman, the woman on the phone, and then she starts getting defensive, and then all of a sudden we're like, going in opposite directions, and maybe I don't feel like I got her to a breakthrough, or maybe I'm feeling like I made things worse, or whatever. And I get off the phone, and my immediate reaction is like, oh, like, I feel like garbage. I don't know if I can swear, so I won't.
Yeah,
but
badasses, of course you can.
I feel like shit. Like, I get on the phone, I feel like shit. I feel like, man, I really fucked that up. Like, oh man, I could have done better. I could have done this. I could have done that. And so in that moment, I reach out to my community, and I get this beautiful reframe from a friend who is like, hey, that's great. You have a shitty enrollment call. Like, that's awesome, because you have to have a few shitty enrollment calls to get closer to your next yes. So it's just this reframe of, that's okay. Like, that experience is part of the process. You got to have some people who are disconnected, or you've got to have some calls where, like, you're just not on point, and that's okay. It's totally part of the process. So one of the other things that has come up for me, and I know somebody in your audience is going to resonate with this, is that habit of self-punishing. Like, when we feel like we haven't lived up to our expectations, when we feel like we haven't done our best, then it's like this, somebody's just like coming out of the woodwork and whipping you, and it's like, that just doesn't have to happen. Because every experience is perfect, is divine. And the more we can look at each experience as feedback rather than good or bad, it's all feedback, it's all information, the better off we are for the longevity.
Totally. So for everyone listening, I just wonder where you can right now give yourself permission to welcome mistakes and to welcome the failures, and to trust that that's helping you get closer to where you want to be, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there is also the power in, what can I do better? just not just sitting in that place and be like, oh, well, all right, that was great. That's information. But it's like there's also a divine invitation of what you do with that information, because it is still information for you to act on and tweak your process and proceed from.
Right.
So that you're not in that situation again.
But not information for you to get down on yourself and, wallow in the muck a little.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to talk about having fun in your business, because you are someone, like you say, make the process fun rather than only celebrating the product. We can make the entire process of having our business fun and expressive. So I want to know how you make some of the things that are not so fun for you, that are not, your highest excitement. Can you give examples of how you make things fun for yourself and your business?
Yeah, sure. Well, the very first thing is that I delegate. So the things that are like absolutely gut wrenching and like really, really not fun, I just don't do anymore. And a lot of us think that, oh, well, I don't know if I have enough revenue to hire an assistant. And the beautiful thing about it is, okay, maybe you don't, but when you hire an assistant, there are so many people out there who are hungry to support you for even 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours a week. And you can get just even that amount of support for a nominal investment. And what that gives you in return is 2 hours, 3 hours, or 5 hours of your life back. So, and on top of that, again, if you don't feel like you have the revenue to invest in that person, when you hire that person and you start delegating to them, not only are you freed up with time to increase your own revenue, but you also have the fire under your butt. You get the fire under your ass to actually make that revenue happen. So my first recommendation in having more fun is delegate the things that you loathe doing off your plate. And even if you have to, there's loads of ways that you can find good people for nominal, fair nominal investment, short periods of time. So do that, get it off your plate. And then the second thing that I do for other things that maybe only I can do is I create ritual around a lot of things. Like, for example, content creation is one of the things that we as CEOs, it really has to come from us, at least at this point. Like creating our lessons, creating our messaging. Sometimes that can be a struggle. Sometimes we have writer's block. Sometimes we just aren't in that emotional place to be generating our service-based content. So I find for me, when I enter into some kind of ritual, like whether that be like lighting a candle or a stick of incense, or doing a little bit of journaling and like big picture visioning of like, what is it that I want my people to get from this lesson? Like, what is one takeaway? And I allow my creative process to be fluid and fun. Other things that I might do in rituals, I might play music and have a little dance party, get my energy up. I might have a little visualization session where I take myself out of my own experience and place myself in the experience of one of my clients. And I just imagine her walking through her life, where she is in her love attraction process, or where they are in their business. What's my ideal client, just putting myself in my ideal client's existence and just trying it on like a costume and hanging out in her life in my imagination. So those are some of the ritual pieces that I might do before content creation, which isn't something that I loathe. Like I actually love content creation, but I do sometimes feel like a creative block around that, or sometimes it's just, for me, it's something that I really get to when I go into it, I got to go deep into it and getting in there. It's like running sometimes, the first mile, it's like, I don't really want to be doing this. But then after the first mile, it's like, whoa, you're in the zone. Right. So I think that anything that we can do to kind of open that door to the zone is beautiful.
I love that. And I noticed in this response and in another response, your reframe that I think will be really helpful for people watching is to really get connected to the service aspect and who you're helping, and like to, that is for so many of us the vision and the why and the purpose why we're on this planet is to help and to be of service, and we get to do that through our business in a really fun way. So it seems like we can always reconnect to that as an
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the more we connect with the people that we're serving and kind of get out of our own experience, the better off we are. And so one of the other things that's coming up for me now is like when you're in that creative process, or even for me, it's like when I'm in my loving solitude practice, when I'm in yoga or running or meditation or just taking a walk to the mailbox. You know, when I'm in my quiet, still time is when I get a lot of ideas. And for me, my whole thing is like, no idea is too crazy. Everything gets documented. Everything gets listed in a running list. And when I'm feeling like creatively depleted, or when I'm looking for new ideas, I go back to this list. And you know, if I'm reading back through it and I'm like, oh, I think I want to teach a lesson on this, and I'm like, oh no, that might be too far out there for them. That's when I know that, yeah, that's actually the piece that I've got to grab and teach. Because if there's something that's like making me self-conscious about it or questioning about it, then chances are I'm just too stuck in my own experience, and I'm not thinking about how this will benefit them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, getting out of this, like, oh, what are they going to think of me? And just being like, well, how is this going to serve? And then think of like one of the people that I'm working with, and really connect with her experience. And again, typically like some of the more like outside ideas are the ones that they love so much, because I've been able to get out of my own way and just give it to them.
I love that. I love that idea that we can, no idea is too crazy. I'm going to hold that one for myself. We're running out of time, but I want to ask you something that's coming up for me now. So you have a background as a performance artist, and I saw Broadway theater was somewhere. I'm wondering what was the transition like from being so expressive and out there to like having a business and being in the public eye? Was that challenging for you, or did you ever feel like maybe this isn't the space for me, but how did you make it work for you so you can really be yourself and have your business? Curious if you could touch on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, my trajectory has been kind of across the map. The Broadway theatrics, I was actually working in a marketing office. So I have a background in communications, marketing, advertising, but then I have a huge love for movement. And I went into like a 12-year career of teaching dance and Pilates and personal training and performing. And so there's a huge part of me that loves, like, you know, the lights, the camera, the glitter, the lashes. So yeah, there was definitely a huge transition when I moved from that kind of body work and wellness into coaching. I mean, the thing though is that there was so much overlap, because I believe that when I was teaching movement, I was really focused on showing people that they were far more capable of attaining their life's dreams and goals in mostly in their body, and you know, but it spanned in a lot of different directions. And so that's like the thread that carries over into the coaching that I do, is really showing people that they are so much more capable than they believe themselves to be. You know, and when there you know, there's definitely like moments where I miss the aspect of getting all like dressed up in costume and performing on stage, but I get those in other areas. And, you know, for me, I've just experienced my own radical transformation in my own business process, that for me now, it's like the reasons that brought me into that work and brought me to the stage, like are not really like they're not in the forefront of my needs any longer, you know? And so I feel like, I don't know, this is a whole other webinar conversation, but yeah, like it's very interesting, because I think that at that period of my life, there were a lot of needs that I was hoping to fulfill by being front and center and on stage and the center of attention. And now at this point, my needs are more of being of service and making an impact and helping other women change their lives and attracting amazing, extraordinary love, like at the level that I've been able to attract in my life. And that's honestly like why I do what I do, is because of what I've been able to attract in my life is like mind blowing and like so beyond the capacity of my imagination. You know, I say that everything is created twice, but the thing is that when we hold our vision with an open hand, we leave the space for God, the universe, to come in and work its magic on us, so that what actually ends up happening, what we actually create and manifest, is so much more beautiful and bigger than our heart's imagination, our wildest dreams. And so like that is so fulfilling, and to me today in my life, so much more fulfilling than being on stage, or, you know, it's just the progression of our needs. And as we accumulate years and accumulate accomplishments, I think those needs and desires shift. So
Beautifully said. And I think that's a wonderful place to kind of wrap up this conversation, is that there's a bigger movement happening that pulls us forward in the direction of our dreams and what we're here to do. And I
absolutely
illustrated that really beautifully with what you just shared. So tell us about your fabulous free gift, which is called 6 Mindful Practices to Break Through Your Blocks and Open to Love.
Yes, it is a training video. It's delivered in 3 parts, and the audience, you guys can find it on my website, bexburtoncoaching.com. It's primarily focused on love. The teachings, they're mindset hacks. They're 6 different ways of thinking that serve your manifestation powers. So it can be applied to business. The way that I'm delivering it specifically applies to love. So if you are single and looking for the love of your life, then this will absolutely help you generate the mindset, cultivate the mindset that is absolutely necessary to attract extraordinary love into your life.
Beautiful. So there's going to be a link to that, which is definitely going to be relevant for a lot of you. Even though it's about love, those manifestation hacks are essential to helping our businesses grow. So there's a link to that in your email along with this video. So you'll be getting that. Definitely make sure you grab that. And with that, we're going to wrap up. I want to remind you all that one of the things we're talking about in the summit is asking for help. So join us in our Facebook group. Bex and I are there. We'd love to support you. If this talk brought anything up that you want to share about, if you feel a resonance, let us know, and we're in the Facebook group ready to support you. Other than that, you can, if you love this talk and you want to add it to your collection, you can purchase this and all the others. So that is also an option. And with that, we're going to sign off. So Bex, do you want to help me in saying goodbye to everyone?
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye, and all the best, and good luck, and stay the course. It is all worth it. It is all worth it, every step.
Absolutely. Bex, it was fabulous to have you on. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And with that, we are signing off. So I'm Shereen Sun with Bex Burton for the Spiritual Badass Revolution, and we will see you tomorrow with more interviews. Bye, everyone.